Number 1. 1965 Ford Falcon Cruiser, offered at $5,500 and currently located in Rising Sun, Maryland. In my opinion, this 1965 Ford Falcon is one of those classic cars that proves you don't need a massive V8 or a six-figure price tag to enjoy vintage American motoring. Sometimes the most enjoyable classics are the honest, well-maintained survivors that can be driven regularly without constant worry. What immediately stands out to me is the asking price. At just $5,500, this Falcon appears to offer a tremendous amount of value considering how much recent maintenance has been completed. The seller lists an impressive number of new parts, including a fuel tank, fuel pump, alternator, starter, radiator, battery, tires, and even a rebuilt power steering system. To me, that suggests someone invested in making the car dependable rather than simply trying to sell it quickly. Under the hood is the factory 170 cubic inch inline-six paired with a 3-speed automatic transmission. While this isn't a performance setup, I actually think that's part of the Falcon's charm. These small Ford 6-cylinder engines earned a reputation for reliability and simplicity, making them ideal for relaxed cruising and easy maintenance. Another detail I really like is the car's appearance. The seller mentions that the older white repaint is beginning to reveal the original teal paint underneath. In my opinion, that natural patina gives the car character and tells part of its story. Not every classic needs a perfect show-quality paint job to be appealing. The seller also notes that the undercarriage is extremely solid with clean floors and frame rails. For a vehicle that's more than 60 years old, that's often one of the most important factors to consider. Mechanical parts can usually be repaired or replaced, but solid structural condition is much harder to find. Inside, the Falcon appears to remain largely original while benefiting from a modern Bluetooth stereo. I think that's a smart upgrade because it allows the owner to enjoy modern music and connectivity without dramatically changing the classic feel of the car. What I find most interesting is the seller's comment that they originally planned to customize the Falcon but ultimately decided it was too clean to modify. In my opinion, that's often a sign that a vehicle has retained much of its original appeal and deserves to be appreciated for what it is. Overall, my opinion is that this 1965 Ford Falcon represents one of the most affordable and approachable ways to enter the classic car hobby. It's not a flashy muscle car, but it appears to be a reliable, well-maintained cruiser with plenty of personality, making it an excellent choice for someone who wants to enjoy a vintage car without spending a fortune. Number 2. 1972 Ford Galaxy 500, offered at $10,000 and currently located in West Warwick, Rhode Island. In my opinion, this 1972 Ford Galaxy 500 appears to be an interesting blend of classic American luxury and modern customization. Unlike many surviving Galaxies that remain completely stock, this example has been updated in several areas, giving it a more contemporary appearance while still retaining the unmistakable presence of Ford's full-size flagship from the early 1970s. One of the most attractive features mentioned by the seller is the car's Arizona origin and rust-free frame. For a vehicle that is more than 50 years old, structural condition is often one of the most important factors affecting value and long-term ownership costs. A rust-free frame can be a major advantage, especially compared to similar vehicles that have spent their lives in regions with harsh winters and road salt exposure. The seller also notes that the car has received a new paint job and a vinyl-wrapped roof, which should help it stand out visually. Combined with the oversized 22-inch custom wheels, the Galaxy has likely taken on a more modern street cruiser appearance than a factory original example. While custom modifications can be subjective, buyers who appreciate personalized classics may find this combination appealing. Inside, the installation of Dynamat sound deadening material and new carpeting suggests that attention was given to improving comfort and cabin refinement. These upgrades can make a noticeable difference in reducing road noise and enhancing the overall driving experience, particularly in a large full-size vehicle designed for comfortable cruising. The reported mileage of 85,000 miles is relatively modest for a car of this age, although buyers should always verify mileage documentation when possible. Assuming the vehicle has been properly maintained over the years, the mileage figure could further support its appeal as a usable classic rather than simply a showpiece. At an asking price of $10,000, This Galaxy appears to be positioned within a reasonable range for a solid, running classic that has already received cosmetic and comfort-related upgrades. While purists seeking a factory-correct restoration may prefer a more original example, buyers looking for a distinctive cruiser with modern touches may see good value here. Overall, I think this 1972 Ford Galaxy 500 offers an appealing combination of classic full-size Ford styling, rust-free foundations, and tasteful upgrades aimed at comfort and visual impact. If the mechanical condition matches the seller's description and the quality of the paint and modifications is good, the asking price seems fair for a vehicle that could provide both enjoyable weekend driving and plenty of attention at local car gatherings. Number 3. 1970 Dodge Super B, offered at $44,500 and currently located in Huntertown, Indiana. In my opinion, this 1970 Dodge Super B is a fascinating blend of classic Mopar muscle and modern performance upgrades. Rather than being a strict factory-correct restoration, this appears to be a carefully built Restomod that focuses on driving enjoyment, reliability, and aggressive styling while still preserving the unmistakable identity of one of Dodge's most iconic muscle cars. The first thing that immediately stands out is the extensive scope of the build. According to the seller, virtually everything on the car has been rebuilt, restored, or replaced. From the suspension and braking system to the interior, wiring, fuel system, and drivetrain, this Super B appears to have undergone a comprehensive transformation rather than a simple cosmetic refresh. One of the highlights for me is the rebuilt 383 cubic inch V8 paired with a pistol grip 4-speed manual transmission. In my opinion, few combinations represent the golden age of Mopar muscle better than a big block engine and a 4-speed gearbox. The pistol grip shifter has become one of the most recognizable features in Chrysler performance history, and it adds an authentic muscle car feel every time the driver changes gears. The B5 blue paint is another feature that deserves attention. This is one of the most desirable and recognizable Mopar colors from the era. Combined with the flat, clear finish, the car likely has a modernized appearance while still honoring its original muscle car roots. Personally, I think B5 blue remains one of the best colors ever offered on a Dodge performance car. I also appreciate the upgrades made to the suspension and handling package. The QA1 control arms, KYB shocks, new steering components, and fresh suspension hardware suggest the car was built to drive far better than a typical factory 1970 muscle car. While originality has its place, many enthusiasts prefer improvements that enhance road manners without sacrificing character. The braking system is another area where this build shines. The addition of front disc brakes and a completely renewed braking system makes the car much more confidence-inspiring than many original drum brake muscle cars. In my view, braking upgrades are among the most practical improvements you can make to a classic performance vehicle. Inside the cabin, the seller appears to have spared little expense. The Dakota Digital Instrument Cluster, new wiring harness, legendary interior components, sound insulation, upgraded stereo, and rebuilt window mechanisms create a modernized environment while maintaining a period-correct appearance. This combination often provides the best of both worlds, classic style with modern convenience. One detail I find especially important is the matching VIN tag, fender tag, and door plate. Even though the car has been modified, retaining matching identification components helps preserve the vehicle's authenticity and connection to its original identity. For many Mopar enthusiasts, that's a significant positive. The upgraded lighting, modern wheels, and larger tires also suggest this Super B was built with usability in mind. While some collectors prefer factory steel wheels and stock specifications, I can understand the appeal of a car that offers improved performance, visibility, and road holding without completely abandoning its classic appearance. At an asking price of $44,500, this Super B occupies an interesting space in the market. Original, numbers-matching muscle cars often command substantially higher prices, while lesser project cars can require years of work and significant investment. In my opinion, this listing targets buyers who want a finished, turnkey muscle car that can be driven and enjoyed immediately. Overall, My opinion is that this 1970 Dodge Super B is an impressive Restomod-style build that combines classic Mopar muscle with carefully selected modern upgrades. The rebuilt 383 V8, pistol grip 4-speed, upgraded suspension, modern braking system, refreshed interior, and striking B5 blue finish create a package that appears equally suited for weekend cruises, local car shows, and spirited driving. For enthusiasts who value drivability as much as originality, this Super B looks like a very compelling example of a modernized muscle car done right. Number 4. 1966 Ford Thunderbird, offered at $11,500 and currently located in Pawcatuck, Connecticut. From my perspective, this is one of the best values I've seen recently among full-size American luxury classics. The 1966 Thunderbird came from an era when Ford was focused on combining personal luxury, distinctive styling, and V8 power into one sophisticated package, and this example appears to retain much of that appeal. The first thing that stands out to me is the asking price. At just $11,500, this Thunderbird is priced well below many comparable classics from the mid-1960s. In my opinion, that alone makes it worth a closer look, especially considering the seller describes it as a running, driving, and well-maintained vehicle rather than a restoration project. What I find particularly encouraging is the seller's description of the underside as immaculate. Anyone who has spent time around classic cars knows that rust and structural issues can quickly become expensive headaches. Personally, I'd rather buy a car with minor cosmetic flaws and a solid foundation than a shiny car hiding major problems underneath. The seller is also refreshingly honest about the imperfections. The paint is described as good overall but not perfect, the front bumper could benefit from re-chroming, and the driver's seat needs some attention. In my opinion, these are relatively manageable issues that don't prevent someone from enjoying the car immediately. Another detail that catches my attention is the amount of recent maintenance. The replacement of the passenger side exhaust manifold gasket, heat riser gasket, and donut gasket suggests the owner has been actively addressing mechanical needs rather than simply letting the car sit. That's usually a positive sign when evaluating a classic vehicle. Perhaps the most significant detail in the entire listing is the mention that the engine and transmission were rebuilt by the previous owner just a few years ago. While documentation is always important, the seller notes that the quality of the rebuild is evident from the way the car runs and drives. Personally, that's exactly the kind of upgrade that can make classic car ownership much more enjoyable. The Thunderbird was never intended to be a lightweight muscle car. Instead, it was designed as a personal luxury coupe with a smooth ride and plenty of style. That's why I think the seller's description of it being a great cruiser fits perfectly. These cars excel at comfortable highway driving and relaxed weekend trips. Visually, the 1966 Thunderbird remains one of the most distinctive designs of the decade. The long hood, elegant roofline, and unique front-end styling help it stand apart from many other American cars of the period. Even today, it's a vehicle that attracts attention because you simply don't see them very often anymore. I also appreciate that the roof was recently repainted and is described as flawless. Details like that show ongoing care and help improve the overall presentation of the vehicle. At this price point, I don't view this Thunderbird as a show car investment. Instead, I see it as an affordable entry into classic American luxury. It's the kind of car that someone can drive to local cruise nights, enjoy on weekend road trips, and gradually improve over time if they choose. Overall, my opinion is that this 1966 Ford Thunderbird offers a compelling combination of affordability, style, and usability. It has a rebuilt drivetrain, a solid structure, honest seller disclosure, and the kind of classic 1960s presence that never really goes out of fashion. For someone looking for a comfortable vintage cruiser that stands out from the usual Mustangs and Camaros, this Thunderbird appears to be a very attractive option and potentially one of the better values currently available in the classic car market. Number 5. 1968 Pontiac Le Mans, offered at $22,500 and currently located in Cincinnati, Ohio. In my opinion, this is one of those classic cars that could easily attract attention from both Pontiac enthusiasts and casual car show spectators. While the GTO usually steals the spotlight, the 1968 Sierra Leonean Lyons Mans shares much of the same stylish DNA, making it an appealing alternative for buyers who appreciate Pontiac muscle car styling without necessarily paying full GTO prices. The first thing that catches my eye is the regimental red exterior paired with a black interior. That's a classic muscle car combination that rarely goes out of style. The bold red paint highlights the aggressive body lines of the 1968 Pontiac A-body platform, while the black interior provides a clean and sporty contrast. Even today, this color combination has the ability to draw attention wherever the car goes. According to the seller, the vehicle underwent a complete restoration in 2010 and has seen very limited use since then. In my opinion, that can be a very positive sign. A restoration that still presents well more than a decade later often indicates quality workmanship and careful ownership. Fresh restorations can look impressive, but a car that continues to maintain its appearance years later can sometimes tell a more important story about the quality of the build. One statement that stands out is the seller's claim that the car is more like a GTO than a Le Mans. While specific details aren't provided, that comment immediately sparks curiosity. It could suggest performance upgrades, GTO-inspired styling elements, drivetrain enhancements, or restoration choices that move the car closer to its famous sibling. For many enthusiasts, that's actually an attractive proposition because it allows them to enjoy much of the GTO experience without entering the significantly higher price bracket associated with genuine GTO models. The mileage is listed at 64,359 miles, which is reasonable for a vehicle of this age. More importantly, the seller describes the car as being in excellent condition with a clean title and no significant issues. Those are encouraging indicators, especially for buyers looking for a classic car they can enjoy immediately rather than spend years restoring. What I particularly like about the 1968 model year is the styling. Pontiac did an excellent job creating a body that looks muscular without appearing oversized. The flowing fender lines, distinctive front-end design, and balanced proportions make these cars instantly recognizable. In my opinion, the 1968 Sierra Leonean Lyons Mans is one of the better-looking intermediates produced during the muscle car era. At $22,500, the asking price appears relatively reasonable compared to many restored muscle-era vehicles on today's market. Genuine GTOs from the same period can often command substantially higher prices, especially when restored. As a result, a well-kept Le Mans can sometimes represent a better value for enthusiasts who prioritize enjoyment and appearance over collector status. If I were considering this car, I would want to learn more about the restoration. Documentation, photographs, and receipts would help clarify exactly what was rebuilt or upgraded. I would also be interested in knowing whether any GTO-related modifications were performed, since the seller specifically mentions the car being more like a GTO than a standard Le Mans. Overall, my impression is that this 1968 Pontiac Le Mans offers a compelling blend of classic Pontiac styling, restored condition, and potential GTO-inspired appeal. The attractive color combination, limited use since restoration, and strong overall presentation make it sound like a car that could be enjoyed immediately while still drawing plenty of attention at local cruises, car shows, and weekend events. For someone seeking a distinctive late 1960s Pontiac without stepping into full GTO pricing territory, this Le Mans could be a very appealing option. Number 6. 1963 Ford Galaxie 500, offered at $27,000 and currently located in King George, Virginia. In my opinion, this 1963 Ford Galaxie is far more than just a classic cruiser. It's a serious street machine disguised as a vintage full-size Ford. While the exterior maintains the iconic look of an early -60s Galaxie, the mechanical upgrades suggest this car was built with performance firmly in mind. What immediately grabs my attention is the engine combination. According to the seller, the car is powered by a 1962 406 crossbolt main block fitted with tunnel port 427 heads and intake. For Ford enthusiasts, those are some legendary performance components associated with Ford's golden era of racing. In my view, that's the kind of setup that transforms a comfortable cruiser into something capable of delivering genuinely impressive performance. The addition of dual 4-barrel Phytech fuel injection is another feature I find particularly interesting. It blends the classic appearance of dual carburetors with the reliability and drivability of modern electronic fuel injection. For someone who wants vintage style without the typical carburetor headaches, that's a very attractive upgrade. The supporting modifications continue throughout the car. Wilwood disc brakes at all 4 corners, power steering, power brakes, a vacuum pump system, and AC6 automatic transmission with a stall converter suggest that this Galaxy was thoughtfully built rather than simply modified piece by piece. I also like the fact that the car features a 3.73 posi traction rear end and a 3-inch exhaust system with electric cutouts. In my opinion, those upgrades indicate the owner wanted a car that could be both comfortable on the street and exciting when called upon. Visually, the black exterior paired with a white interior creates a timeless appearance. Add the fiberglass teardrop hood, and the car gains a more aggressive muscle car personality without completely losing its classic Ford elegance. What stands out most to me is the balance between old-school Ford performance and modern drivability. Many vintage high-performance builds can be difficult to drive regularly, but this Galaxy appears to incorporate upgrades that make it more usable while still preserving its vintage character. Overall, my opinion is that this 1963 Ford Galaxy 500 would appeal to someone who wants more than just a show car. It combines iconic full-size Ford styling with a collection of serious performance upgrades, creating a classic that looks refined on the outside but has the potential to surprise people when the throttle is opened. Number 7. 1969 Chevrolet Camaro Z/28 RS, offered at $89,500 and currently located in Belmont, New Hampshire. In my opinion, this 1969 Camaro Z/28 RS appears to be a very desirable example of one of the most iconic American muscle cars ever produced. The 1969 model year is widely regarded as the most collectible first-generation Camaro, and the combination of the Z/28 performance package and RS appearance package makes this car especially appealing to enthusiasts and collectors alike. According to the seller, this Camaro is an X33-coded Z/28 RS and is powered by a DZ code 302 V8 paired with a Tremec 5-speed manual transmission. While the engine is reported to be a non-matching numbers unit, the presence of a DZ302 is still a significant feature because it preserves much of the character that made the original Z/28 famous. The Tremec 5-speed is also a popular upgrade, offering improved highway cruising, better drivability, and a more enjoyable driving experience compared to the original 4-speed transmission. The Cortez silver exterior combined with the black standard interior is a timeless color combination that complements the aggressive styling of the 1969 Camaro. The RS package adds several distinctive appearance features that many collectors prefer, helping the car stand out even among other first-generation Camaros. The seller also notes the addition of aftermarket power windows, which can improve convenience without dramatically altering the car's classic appearance. Another positive aspect is the extensive restoration work completed in the past. The seller mentions stainless steel exhaust components, a stainless fuel tank, and replacement brake and fuel lines, suggesting that attention was paid not only to appearance but also to reliability and long-term durability. These upgrades can be particularly valuable because they help reduce maintenance concerns while preserving the car's usability. The description states that the Camaro runs and drives excellently and currently needs nothing. While any prospective buyer should still perform a thorough inspection and review available documentation, it is encouraging to see a seller presenting the vehicle as a fully sorted example rather than a project requiring additional investment. The biggest factor affecting value is likely the non-matching numbers engine. For some high-end collectors, originality is extremely important, and matching numbers examples often command a significant premium. However, many enthusiasts place greater value on condition, appearance, and driving enjoyment. For those buyers, a beautifully restored Z/28 RS with a correct style DZ302 and modern Tremec transmission can be a very attractive package. Overall, I believe this Camaro occupies a strong position in the market. It combines one of the most sought-after Camaro body styles with desirable performance credentials, quality restoration work, and practical upgrades that enhance the driving experience. Although the asking price of $89,500 places it firmly in collector car territory, that figure does not seem unreasonable given the model's popularity, restoration quality, and overall presentation. For someone seeking a turnkey 1969 Camaro Z/28 RS that can be driven and enjoyed immediately, this example appears to be a compelling option. Number 8. 1972 Chrysler Newport, offered at $5,000 and currently located in Greenfield, Ohio. In my opinion, this 1972 Chrysler Newport is exactly the kind of overlooked classic that often delivers the most enjoyment for the least amount of money. While many enthusiasts chase muscle cars with six-figure price tags, cars like this Newport offer a genuine 1970s American driving experience at a fraction of the cost. The first thing that grabs my attention is the asking price. At just $5,000, it's becoming increasingly difficult to find a full-size classic car that runs, drives, stops, and has a clean title. In today's collector market, that alone makes this Newport worth a closer look. Under the hood is Chrysler's 400 cubic inch V8 paired with the legendary 727 TorqueFlite automatic transmission. In my opinion, this drivetrain combination is one of the strongest aspects of the car. The 400 big block is known for producing excellent low-end torque, while the 727 has earned a reputation as one of the toughest automatic transmissions ever built. Together, they create a drivetrain that is simple, durable, and relatively easy to maintain. Another detail I appreciate is the seller's honesty. Rather than claiming the car is perfect, they openly mention that it could use some carburetor tuning and that the fuel gauge isn't working because of a faulty sending unit. Personally, I find listings like this more believable than those that describe every vehicle as flawless. Small issues like these are fairly common on a 50-plus-year-old car and are generally less intimidating than major structural or mechanical problems. The reported 61,000 actual miles are also interesting. While mileage on older vehicles should always be verified through documentation, the relatively low number combined with the seller's description suggests this Newport may have spent much of its life being driven sparingly rather than heavily used. What stands out even more is that the owner currently drives the car on a semi-daily basis. In my opinion, that says a lot about its reliability. Many classic cars spend more time parked than driven, but a vehicle that regularly sees road use has already demonstrated a level of dependability that can't always be judged from photos alone. The seller has also completed several important maintenance items, including a new starter, water pump, thermostat, spark plugs, and ignition wires. These are exactly the types of repairs that help keep an older vehicle dependable. The inclusion of new front and rear shocks in the trunk is another positive sign, as it shows the owner was continuing to invest in the car even before deciding to sell or trade it. Stylistically, the 1972 Newport represents the final years before American cars became heavily downsized. These full-size Chryslers were built with long hoods, expansive interiors, and a commanding road presence that modern vehicles simply don't have. In my opinion, they offer a unique experience that combines comfort, simplicity, and classic American design. One aspect I particularly like is that the seller describes it as a cool car. That may sound casual, but sometimes that's the best way to summarize vehicles like this. Not every classic needs to be a rare muscle car or a concours restoration. Sometimes a big, comfortable V8 cruiser with character and personality can be just as rewarding to own. At the asking price, there is also plenty of room for the next owner to improve the car over time. Fixing the fuel sending unit, fine-tuning the carburetor, and installing the included shocks could make the Newport even more enjoyable without requiring a major investment. Overall, my opinion is that this 1972 Chrysler Newport offers exceptional value for someone who appreciates big American cruisers. The combination of a 400 V8, 727 TorqueFlite transmission, low reported mileage, recent maintenance, and daily driver usability makes it a compelling option in the affordable classic car market. It may not be the flashiest car at a show, but it appears to be an honest, usable classic that delivers plenty of vintage Chrysler character for a very reasonable price. Number 9. 1969 Chevrolet Chevelle Malibu, offered at $29,500 and currently located in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. From my perspective, this is the type of classic muscle-era Chevrolet that appeals to enthusiasts who value driving enjoyment over showroom perfection. The 1969 Chevelle is already one of the most recognizable body styles of the muscle car era, and even a Malibu model carries much of the same aggressive styling that made the Chevelle famous. What immediately stands out to me is the combination of a 350 V8 engine and a 4-speed manual transmission. Personally, I think that's one of the most enjoyable setups you can have in a classic street car. The 350 provides reliable small block performance, while the manual gearbox adds a level of driver involvement that many enthusiasts actively seek. The seller describes the paint as about an 8 out of 10, which, in my opinion, sounds like a realistic assessment rather than an exaggerated sales pitch. Many classic cars look fantastic from a few feet away but still show minor imperfections when inspected closely. For a car that's meant to be driven and enjoyed, I actually prefer honest descriptions like this. Another point that caught my attention is the mention that the front seats could use recovering. While some buyers may see that as a negative, I look at it differently. Interior work allows the next owner to choose the materials and finish they prefer, potentially tailoring the car to their own taste while preserving the rest of the vehicle's character. What I like most about this listing is the seller's straightforward attitude. There are no lengthy claims about being a museum-quality investment or a trailer queen. Instead, it comes across as a classic car that's meant to be seen in person, started up, and evaluated based on how it actually looks and drives. The 1969 model year remains one of the most desirable years for the Chevelle platform because of its clean body lines and muscular stance. Even as a Malibu, this car has the visual presence that attracts attention at local cruise nights, weekend car shows, and classic car gatherings. At $29,500, I think this Chevelle sits in an interesting part of the market. It's significantly more affordable than many high-end SS models, yet it still offers the styling, V8 power, and 4-speed driving experience that many enthusiasts are searching for. If I were looking at this car personally, I would view it as a driver-quality classic rather than a showpiece. That's not a criticism. In fact, some of the most enjoyable classic cars are the ones you don't hesitate to take out on a sunny afternoon or a weekend road trip. Overall, my opinion is that this 1969 Chevrolet Chevelle Malibu represents a solid opportunity for someone wanting a genuine muscle-era Chevrolet with a desirable V8 and manual transmission combination. It may not be perfect, but sometimes the most memorable classics are the ones that have a little character, a few imperfections, and plenty of miles left to enjoy on the open road. Number 10, 1966 Ford Mustang Coupe, offered at $18,500 and currently located in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. In my opinion, this is exactly the kind of classic Mustang that many first-time collectors should consider. While high-horsepower V8 models often grab the headlines, cars like this 1966 Mustang deliver something equally important: the authentic classic car experience without the higher costs and complexity that often come with performance-focused builds. The first thing that stands out is the striking red-on-red color combination. Few colors capture the spirit of the 1960s better than a bright red Mustang, and having a matching red interior creates a cohesive look that feels both sporty and timeless. It's the sort of combination that immediately transports you back to the golden era of American motoring. One detail I particularly appreciate is the seller's honesty about the car's purpose. This isn't being presented as a fire-breathing muscle car or a trailer queen. Instead, it's described as a dependable cruiser, and that's where the inline-six engine really shines. In my opinion, the Ford Straight-Six is one of the most underrated engines of the classic era. It may not deliver the thunderous sound of a V8, but it offers reliability, simplicity, and lower maintenance costs that make ownership much less intimidating. For someone entering the classic car hobby, that's a major advantage. Many new owners discover that enjoying a classic car is often about the experience rather than outright performance. A smooth-running six-cylinder Mustang still provides the unmistakable styling, character, and nostalgia that made the Mustang famous in the first place. The seller also mentions that the interior has been rebuilt, which is a significant benefit. Interior restoration can be surprisingly expensive, especially when quality materials are used. Having that work already completed potentially saves the next owner a considerable amount of time and money. Another feature that caught my attention is the upgraded audio system with Bluetooth connectivity. Purists may prefer complete originality, but in my opinion, tasteful upgrades like Bluetooth and hands-free calling make a classic car far more enjoyable in everyday use. Being able to stream music while maintaining the vintage look of the car creates a nice balance between old and new. The fact that the car has reportedly been garage-kept and maintained by long-term owners is also encouraging. Vehicles that have spent their lives undercover generally age much better than those exposed to harsh weather conditions year after year. Combined with the seller's claim of a solid body and no major rust issues, it suggests this Mustang has been cared for rather than merely stored. What I like most about this listing is the emphasis on enjoyment. The seller paints a picture of evening cruises, local car shows, and conversations with strangers who admire the car. In my opinion, that's exactly what a classic Mustang should be about. Not every collector wants to chase horsepower numbers or concours trophies. Many simply want a car that makes them smile every time they open the garage door. At $18,500, this Mustang appears to be positioned as an accessible entry point into classic car ownership. While prices can vary significantly based on condition and originality, a clean, running, garage-kept 1966 Mustang with a rebuilt interior and modern conveniences could appeal to a broad range of buyers. If I were evaluating the car, I would still inspect the usual areas carefully, including floor pans, frame rails, trunk floor, suspension components, and documentation related to the interior restoration. However, based on the seller's description, this appears to be a car that has been enjoyed responsibly and maintained with care. Overall, my impression is that Lucille represents what many people imagine when they think of classic car ownership: timeless styling, reliable cruising, approachable maintenance, and plenty of opportunities to create memories behind the wheel. It may not be the fastest Mustang on the road, but it sounds like the kind of Mustang that can be driven, appreciated, and enjoyed for years to come. Number 11, 1973 Cadillac Coupe de Ville, offered at $15,000 and currently located in Hamilton, New Jersey. In my opinion, this 1973 Cadillac Coupe de Ville perfectly captures the spirit of American luxury from an era when bigger truly meant better. Long, wide, and unmistakably stylish, this is the kind of car that makes a statement before the engine is even started. What immediately stands out to me is the combination of the blue exterior and black interior. Paired with the new black leather upholstery and correct grain vinyl top, the car appears to have the elegant look that Cadillac was famous for during the 1970s. These cars weren't designed to be sports cars. They were built to provide comfort, presence, and a smooth ride unlike almost anything else on the road. The seller notes that the paint was refreshed in 2015 and that numerous maintenance items have been completed. A new battery, starter, wheel cylinders, weather stripping, tune-up, and upgraded Bluetooth audio system suggest that the car has been actively maintained rather than sitting and used. In my opinion, that's exactly what many buyers want to see in a classic cruiser. One feature that really catches my attention is the set of Vogue tires combined with wire wheels. Whether you love them or not, they instantly give the Coupe de Ville a distinctive luxury car personality that fits the Cadillac image perfectly. It's a look that has been associated with premium American luxury cars for decades. The seller also mentions that the car recently completed a 3-hour round trip without any issues. To me, that's one of the most encouraging details in the entire listing. Many classic cars look great in photos, but a car that can comfortably handle a long drive often tells a much more important story about its condition. Of course, the air conditioning currently isn't working, and one interior window gasket is missing. However, in my opinion, those are relatively minor concerns compared to major rust, drivetrain, or structural issues. The seller specifically states that the car is rust-free, which is a significant advantage for a full-size luxury vehicle that is more than 50 years old. What I find most appealing is that this Cadillac seems ready to be enjoyed immediately. Rather than requiring a lengthy restoration, it appears to be the kind of classic you can drive to local shows, weekend cruises, or simply enjoy on the open road. Overall, My opinion is that this 1973 Cadillac Coupe de Ville offers a tremendous amount of classic American luxury for the money. With its fresh interior, updated mechanical components, rust-free condition, and unmistakable Cadillac presence, it looks like a comfortable and stylish cruiser that still turns heads more than 5 decades after it left the showroom. Number 12. 1966 Pontiac GTO Coupe, offered at $64,500 and currently located in Canton, Michigan. In my opinion, this 1966 Pontiac GTO appears to be a highly desirable example of one of the most influential muscle cars ever built. Often credited as one of the vehicles that helped define the American muscle car era, the 1966 GTO remains a favorite among collectors due to its aggressive styling, strong performance, and historical significance. When you combine those attributes with a tri-power engine, a 4-speed manual transmission, and relatively low original mileage, this car immediately becomes much more interesting. The highlight of this GTO is undoubtedly the legendary 389 cubic inch V8 equipped with Pontiac's famous tri-power setup. The 3 two-barrel carburetors not only provide impressive performance for the era but also create an unmistakable visual impact whenever the hood is opened. Among Pontiac enthusiasts, the tri-power configuration is one of the most sought-after options and is often considered a key factor in a GTO's collectability and value. Another major advantage is the 4-speed manual transmission. Many muscle car buyers specifically seek manual-equipped cars because they offer a more engaging driving experience and are generally viewed as more desirable in the collector market. Combined with the 389 tri-power, the 4-speed setup delivers the type of authentic muscle car experience that helped make the GTO famous during the 1960s. The seller states that the car has only 59,000 original miles, which is an attractive figure for a vehicle that is now 6 decades old. While documentation would always be important to verify mileage claims, a low-mileage example can significantly enhance long-term desirability. The clean title and reported lack of significant damage are additional positives that prospective buyers will appreciate. What makes this particular GTO stand out even further is the combination of performance and comfort options. Factory air conditioning is relatively uncommon on many muscle cars because buyers in the 1960s often prioritized performance over convenience. The addition of factory AC and power steering makes the car more enjoyable to drive while retaining its collector appeal. For many enthusiasts, these options provide the best of both worlds: muscle car performance with improved comfort and usability. The silver exterior paired with a black interior is a timeless combination that gives the car a sophisticated appearance while still highlighting its muscular design. Unlike some period colors that can be polarizing, silver and black tend to have broad appeal among collectors and enthusiasts alike. At an asking price of $64,500, this GTO is certainly positioned as a premium collector vehicle. However, considering the tri-power engine, 4-speed transmission, factory air conditioning, power steering, clean title, and claimed original mileage, the price appears understandable within today's classic muscle car market. Comparable GTOs equipped with desirable factory options often command strong values, particularly when they are well-preserved and properly documented. Overall, I believe this 1966 Pontiac GTO represents a very attractive opportunity for collectors seeking an iconic muscle car with the right combination of performance, rarity, and drivability. The tri-power 389 manual transmission, factory AC, and relatively low mileage create a package that is difficult to duplicate. If the vehicle's originality and condition can be verified, this could be one of the more compelling GTO offerings currently available in its price range. Number 13. 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle Malibu, offered at $65,000 and currently located in Richmond, Illinois. In my opinion, this 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle Malibu is a great example of how a professionally restored classic doesn't always need a massive big block engine to be desirable. While many enthusiasts immediately focus on SS models and high horsepower builds, this particular Malibu appears to emphasize quality restoration, drivability, and presentation, qualities that can be just as important for long-term enjoyment. The first thing that stands out to me is the extent of the restoration. According to the seller, this was a body-off-frame build, which is generally considered one of the most comprehensive forms of restoration. The frame was reportedly sandblasted and refinished, while major sheet metal components such as the floors, rear quarter panels, and doors were replaced. In my opinion, this level of work demonstrates a significant investment of both time and money. One feature I particularly like is the dark green metallic paint combined with painted stripes. Green was a popular muscle car color during the late 1960s and early 1970s, and seeing both the exterior and interior finished in matching green creates a very authentic period-correct appearance. In a world filled with red, black, and blue muscle cars, this color combination helps the Chevelle stand out. Under the hood sits a stock 350 cubic inch small block V8 paired with a TH350 automatic transmission and a 10-bolt rear axle. Some buyers might immediately wish for a 396 or 454 big block, but personally, I think there's something appealing about a well-sorted small block car. The 350 is reliable, relatively easy to maintain, and provides plenty of performance for cruising and weekend driving. The addition of an Edelbrock 654-barrel carburetor, aluminum intake manifold, headers, and dual exhaust should also give the engine a little extra personality. While these modifications don't transform the car into a race machine, they can improve throttle response, sound, and overall driving enjoyment. Another major positive is the inclusion of working air conditioning. In my opinion, functional AC is one of the most underrated features in a classic car. It significantly increases comfort during warm weather cruising and makes the vehicle more practical for regular use. The suspension and braking upgrades also deserve attention. New tubular control arms, fresh springs, shocks, brake components, and brake lines suggest the car was restored with drivability in mind rather than simply appearance. A classic car that looks good is one thing, but a classic that drives confidently and comfortably is often much more rewarding to own. The seller also notes new body bushings, fuel lines, weather stripping, and a new fuel tank. These are the kinds of details that many buyers overlook, yet they contribute heavily to how a restored car feels on the road. When these supporting systems are renewed, the vehicle often feels tighter, quieter, and more refined. One aspect I find especially appealing is that this appears to be a complete package rather than a partially finished project. Too often, classic car buyers purchase vehicles that still require extensive work. This Chevelle seems positioned as a turnkey cruiser that can be enjoyed immediately. That said, the $65,000 asking price places the car in a premium category for a Malibu-powered small-block Chevelle. In my opinion, the value here depends less on engine size and more on the quality of the restoration. Buyers would likely be paying for the extensive body-off-frame work, fresh components, and overall presentation rather than raw performance alone. Overall, my opinion is that this 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle Malibu is an attractive, well-restored classic that prioritizes quality craftsmanship and usability. The body-off-frame restoration, fresh suspension and braking systems, working air conditioning, upgraded small block V8, and striking dark green color scheme create a package that appears ready for shows, cruises, and weekend enjoyment. For enthusiasts who appreciate restoration quality as much as horsepower, this Chevelle looks like a very impressive example. Number 14, 1976 Ford Thunderbird Coupe 2D, offered at $7,800 and currently located in Silver Spring, Maryland. From my perspective, this might be one of the most affordable ways to step into the world of classic American luxury. The 1976 Ford Thunderbird represents an era when bigger was better, comfort was a priority, and cruising down the highway was the entire point of owning a personal luxury car. What immediately caught my attention is the claimed 58,000 original miles. Assuming the mileage is accurate, that's relatively low for a vehicle approaching its 50th birthday. In my opinion, low-mileage survivors are becoming increasingly difficult to find, especially ones that appear to have been driven and maintained rather than simply stored away. Another feature that stands out is the legendary 460 cubic inch V8 under the hood. Personally, I think the 460 is one of Ford's most iconic big block engines. It wasn't designed to be a high-revving sports car engine. Instead, it delivers effortless torque and smooth power, which perfectly matches the character of a Thunderbird from this era. I also like seeing a long list of recent maintenance items. The seller mentions a new AC compressor, heater core, water pump, ignition control module, fuel filter, battery, and upgraded exhaust system. To me, those upgrades suggest that the owner has been focused on keeping the car roadworthy rather than simply polishing it for photographs. One thing I appreciate about this listing is that the seller openly acknowledges a few cosmetic imperfections. In my experience, nearly every classic car that is actually driven will have some flaws. A seller who admits that reality often gives me more confidence than someone claiming a vehicle is absolutely perfect. The gold-on-gold color combination is another detail that really defines the 1970s. Personally, I think it's impossible to mistake this Thunderbird for anything else. It has the unmistakable style of the decade, and for enthusiasts who appreciate period-correct classics, that's part of the charm. Luxury features such as power seats, tilt steering, power antenna, adjustable mirrors, and automatic transmission remind us that the Thunderbird was positioned as a premium personal luxury coupe. This wasn't built to compete with muscle cars at the drag strip. It was built to provide comfort, style, and effortless cruising. One of the most interesting facts mentioned in the listing is that 1976 was the final year for this body style. In my opinion, last year production models often attract extra attention from collectors because they represent the end of a particular design era. At an asking price of $7,800, I honestly find this Thunderbird intriguing. Many modern economy cars cost significantly more than that, yet this vehicle offers a massive V8, classic styling, and a driving experience that simply doesn't exist anymore. If I were evaluating this car myself, I would view it as a driver-quality classic that can be enjoyed immediately rather than a museum piece. The seller claims it can be driven anywhere with confidence, and the extensive maintenance history certainly supports that claim. Overall, my opinion is that this 1976 Ford Thunderbird offers a tremendous amount of classic American luxury for the money. It combines low reported mileage, a desirable 460 V8, extensive maintenance records, and the unmistakable presence of a full-size personal luxury coupe from the golden age of American automobiles. For someone looking to own a comfortable, attention-grabbing classic without spending a fortune, this Thunderbird appears to be one of the more interesting values currently available on the market. Number 15, 1989 Cadillac DeVille Fleetwood, offered at $1,000 and currently located in Westfield, Vermont. In my opinion, this is one of those listings that perfectly illustrates the difference between a cheap classic car and an inexpensive project car. At first glance, the $1,000 asking price might seem like a bargain for a full-size Cadillac, but the reality is that this DeVille will likely require significant time, effort, and money before it can return to the road. The first thing that caught my attention is the seller's statement that the car has been parked for approximately 15 years. That's a very long time for any vehicle to sit unused. Even though the family reportedly avoided ethanol fuel, which may have helped preserve parts of the fuel system, long-term storage can affect virtually every mechanical component. Rubber hoses, seals, brake components, fuel lines, and electrical connections often deteriorate regardless of how carefully a vehicle is stored. However, there are some encouraging signs. The seller specifically mentions that the car was never driven during winter. In my opinion, that's one of the most important details in the entire listing. Anyone familiar with classic cars from northern states knows that winter road salt can be devastating to sheet metal and frames. A vehicle that avoided winter use often has a much better chance of retaining its structural integrity. The mileage at over 190,000 miles is certainly high. Yet for a Cadillac of this era, mileage alone doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. These cars were built for long-distance comfort and highway cruising. A well-maintained Cadillac can accumulate substantial mileage while still remaining relatively comfortable and dependable. Unfortunately, the mechanical challenges described by the seller are significant. The car currently has no brakes and no power steering. Those are not minor issues. In my opinion, they immediately move the car out of the drive home category and into the tow it home category. Any prospective buyer should assume that the braking system will need a thorough inspection and likely substantial repairs before the vehicle can be safely operated. The mouse damage to the headliner is another common issue with long-stored vehicles. While a damaged headliner itself isn't usually a major concern, rodent activity often raises questions about wiring, insulation, and interior components. Mice rarely limit themselves to one area of a vehicle, so a careful inspection would be essential. What I do find appealing is the seller's confidence in the overall car. Despite openly listing the problems, they still describe the vehicle as amazing and suggest it would be worth fixing. While that opinion is subjective, it hints that the body and overall condition may be stronger than the mechanical shortcomings suggest. The Cadillac DeVille Fleetwood of this era represents the final years of traditional American luxury before downsizing and modernization changed the segment. These cars are known for their massive dimensions, soft ride quality, plush interiors, and unmistakable road presence. For enthusiasts who appreciate classic American luxury, they offer a driving experience that modern vehicles simply cannot replicate. At $1,000, I see two potential paths for this Cadillac. The first is restoration by someone who genuinely loves late 1980s Cadillacs and wants to preserve a piece of American luxury car history. The second is exactly what the seller mentions, a demolition derby candidate or parts donor. Personally, if the body is as solid as implied and the car truly avoided winter exposure, I would much rather see it restored than destroyed. Overall, my impression is that this 1989 Cadillac DeVille Fleetwood is a high-risk but potentially rewarding project. The long storage period, brake issues, power steering problems, and rodent damage mean it will require substantial work. However, the apparent rust-free history, complete condition, and classic Cadillac character give it more potential than many vehicles found at this price point. For the right enthusiast, this could be an opportunity to save a traditional American luxury car that still has another chapter left to write.